Good morning, everyone. We are going to be walking along 7th Avenue. That is going to be today's walk. As we pass by one of my favorite burger joints, BurgerFi, on the corner of 7th Avenue and 86th Street. That's where we're starting. Man, it smells so good walking by here. This normally would be the time I'd go in there and grab a burger. Alright, so we're going to walk along 7th Avenue into Sunset Park. Right now we're still in what you would consider the Dyker Heights section. We're going to walk down into the Sunset Park area, and we are going to walk into Sunset Park, the actual park that the neighborhood is named after. My first neighborhood of my life. I lived the first 10 or so years in Sunset Park. We'll actually take a look at PS 169. That was my first school. PS 169 is right across the street from Sunset Park. But for now, we're going to be walking these quiet streets for a while. We're on 84th Street, so we're going to have to get past some big crosswalks. Eventually we'll get into it's Sunday, so I don't know, maybe there'll be more foot traffic when we get down there. We'll be just a block up from 8th Avenue, which we all know 8th Avenue is always a very jam-packed avenue in Sunset Park. And on a Sunday, it's probably going to be really jam-packed over there, but we're going to stay a block north of that. But down here, the streets, so 7th Avenue, and it's hard to tell right now, but well, let me get out in the street and show you what I was going to say. So 7th Avenue is a pretty wide road down here. But there's going to come a point where it's going to there's going to be, some avenues merging, and so you'll see that when we get there. It's mostly a residential strip, but there's going to be times of commercial areas when we get down into Sunset Park. We'll be walking by the north side of McKinley Park. And also, speaking of 8th Avenue, 8th Avenue kind of begins off of 7th Avenue. You'll see when we get there. It sounds a little confusing, but you'll understand when we get there. But if you want to get to 8th Avenue, this is the way you would go, because eventually you'll run into it. So the temperature is actually pretty nice. It's 45 degrees right now. So this is the warmest, by far the warmest day we've had in weeks. But as I state almost every day this winter, it is windy out. But we're walking with the kind of a crosswind today, so it shouldn't be a problem on the microphone. So there's two 7th Avenues down here, by the way. There are, I guess they call it 7th Avenue North and 7th Avenue South. 7th Avenue South would be over there on the other side of the BQE. What you're seeing here is one of the exits off of the BQE. So this is one of those crosswalks I was telling you about. You gotta really watch over here. This is Fort Hamilton Parkway. Again, it's very confusing down here. If you've never been down here, you would get confused down here. You would get easily lost if you were trying to go somewhere. Because right where these cars are coming through the light, that is Fort Hamilton, but then it comes into 7th Avenue. They're going to 7th Avenue South right there. And this right here in front of us is Fort Hamilton Parkway, and then we got to get over there. So yeah, I have not been, I took a little bit of a break from walking, my normal February break, but I didn't announce it. It wasn't planned really. One day I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna take a break for a few days. And I did get on camera live the other night to say hello to everyone. So I want to thank everybody that stopped by to say hi and hang out for an hour and a half. If you guys missed it, you guys could just go into my live tab and you'll see the live stream. But yeah, I figured today start picking up the walking again as the weather starts to get warm. This right here is McKinley Park to my right. Actually, it's pretty long. These are where you got a soccer field over here and tennis courts. This is the soccer field. So this area right here is like I call it the dead zone. This area from Fort Hamilton Parkway, where we just crossed, down to around 8th Avenue that we're going to hit. it's, you know, it's kind of dead. You got, you know, the BQE to my left, and you got the parks here to my right. This right here is Bay Ridge Parkway, or you could say 75th Street. And the light is about to change, so we won't be staying here long. Actually, we won't even be stopping. We'll just keep walking here. And then this right here is the actual McKinley Park. This was one of the parks I used to go to as a kid a lot. So Sunset Park and McKinley Park were the two parks I went to a lot as a kid, and then as a teenager we hung out in here a lot. It's very similar to Sunset Park, just smaller. I think it's like half the size. Has the, just like Sunset Park, has the high elevation point in the middle. You can see it up there. Not as high as Sunset Park. Sunset Park is one of the highest elevation points in Brooklyn. You can see the sign up here on the pole, 7th Avenue and 8th Avenue. So this is where 8th Avenue begins. So here you go. This is 8th Avenue. This is what I was telling you about. The way the road just continues. So if you make a half right, you're on 8th Avenue, and then if you stay straight, you're on 7th Avenue. Yeah, look at all these, look at this up here. See all these boots hanging off this pole here? Let me get a better look at that. Let me come over here. They keep throwing any more of those up there. They're going to bring the pole down. All right, we'll start to see a little bit more in the more of you know, some residential stuff now. These are actually the backyards of some of the houses on 8th Avenue over here, because, you know, it's still a short block, so you're looking at the backyards of 8th Avenue right now. by the way, there is still a 7th Avenue South over there. We still have not merged. Eventually, the lanes will merge together further down. I think it's like over on 60th Street. Here goes Ovington Avenue. We did this walk. We'll be crossing a few. Well, this is a 70th Street that turns into like Ovington over here, and then Bay Ridge Avenue. But we pretty much have covered a lot of these side streets. So we are about a week left of February. We are about to hit March. So spring is right around the corner. It definitely feels like spring today. I said earlier the temperature right now is 45. It's supposed to possibly hit 50 today, but then the rest of this week is supposed to be really nice. We are going to get rain though, but temperature wise it won't be like freezing cold. Can't rule out that it's not going to get cold again. So I know that we're supposed to get back into some colder temperatures next weekend, but I guess this week we can actually take a nice break. Get all these corner row houses here. So I was close, but I was incorrect. It wasn't 60th Street. It is 65th Street where 7th Avenue merges back together. But we got to get across that. Some pretty big crosswalks over there. So this right here is part of Leif Erikson Park. This is where the tennis courts are. You can see everybody's playing tennis. It's like a block full of tennis courts for one block. From 7th to 8th Avenue is all tennis courts. All right, here we go. 66th Street. And now we're going to start noticing, once we get past like 65th, we'll start to notice some pickup on the traffic and on pedestrian traffic, people on the streets and stuff. We'll start to see some businesses like this Sunwing supermarket. I'll go this way. I don't like crossing in front of a car that wants to get into a parking lot. So here you go, 65th Street. And it looks like the light is going to change for us. I think what we're going to do is we are going to switch over to the other side of the street. I guess we'll do the switch. We can do it over here. We can wait. We're making good time, so we are already on 64th Street. World Harvest Community Center. It looks like a church to me, unless I'm missing something. All right, here we go. You see this long downhill. We are walking over the N line, N train, and also the Brooklyn Queens Railroad. They got these big concrete walls on either side of the street. So if you're a big train fan, you're not going to see any trains over here. Although I think on the side streets over here, you can look through the fence. So. All right, we should start seeing more people out now. I'm going to slow down now. So now that we've gotten into an area where we can look at things, I'll slow down. Yeah, a lot of these moped guys on the sidewalks and stuff zipping by, so you got to watch out for that. So you got a Popeyes on the corner here. I could use some chicken wings. I like the tender breasts, the chicken tenders. That's actually how they do the chicken sandwiches too. they just don't cut them up and then they just throw them on a sandwich. That's how they do their chicken sandwiches. I thought she was coming up to take a picture of me or something. Yeah, 60th Street.
I'm not making it.
And now we are walking uphill, and it's a pretty steep uphill, I ain't gonna lie. It's not like Dyker Heights, but it's also not like, a small one. It's I guess you could say it's in between that. I feel gravity pulling me backwards. That's how Sunset Park is, because we're entering one of the highest points in Brooklyn, so you'd have to picture, hundreds of years ago, before you had all this overcrowded buildings and everything. It was just some nice green rolling hills with trees. Look at these buildings. These look new. And look at this. I gotta back up here. Look at this. This doesn't even look like it belongs here. Look at this. Nobody's definitely living in them yet, because it looks like they're still doing construction. We got a light we gotta wait for, or not. So this is an area I can say I remember what it was like back in the early 80s. I guess I could get away with saying late 70s. I was 5 years old in 1979. But I remember this stretch of road, and I have tons of pictures. My father was a photographer as well, and he would take pictures of all the fires. 7th Avenue was really bad in the 70s, just like the Bronx. You'd have a lot of fires up and down this avenue. But yeah, it was a pretty rough stretch of road back in the day. Whenever I've done my walks in Sunset Park, I always tell people about, it was a very dangerous neighborhood. Definitely one of the top 5 dangerous neighborhoods in all of Brooklyn back in the 70s and 80s. That was one of the reasons, that was the main reason we moved out. We moved out of Sunset Park, I want to say 84. I was 10 years old. We'll do an updated 8th Avenue walk. I've done a couple of walks on 8th Avenue, but I've never spoken when I've done my walks on 8th Avenue. I usually just have recorded them without any narration or commentary, but that's where I lived. I was on 8th Avenue. I witnessed a lot of bad stuff as a kid. I grew up too fast. Yeah, here's another guy with a little kid sitting in the front. So I held my ends of the bargain when I told you guys earlier that it was going to get much more crowded. I'll let this guy go. I don't mind taking a little break. We are in Sunset Park, by the way. I maybe should have announced that. We got into Sunset Park, into the Sunset Park neighborhood when we got into 60th Street. We're going to be going to the actual park, which is over on 44th. It goes from 44th to 41st. It's a big park. It goes from 7th Avenue down to 5th, and from about 44th Street to, I want to say 41st Street. I was saying earlier, this is my first walk in about a week or so, maybe longer than that. Took a little bit break, but this is our first walk back in Brooklyn since, I want to say, last month. Remember, we spent the first half of the month in New York City. We're covering a lot of the streets out in New York City. And we are going to go back out there. Want to try and cover more of the outer boroughs. That's what we call the outer boroughs here in Brooklyn. I'm sure like people in Bronx consider us the outer boroughs. So I know you guys can see everything that I'm seeing and hear everything that I'm hearing, but you guys can't smell what I'm smelling. So let me describe it. At times you'll smell some really good pastries, then you'll smell trash, then you'll smell some food, then you'll smell like fragrances, like perfume and stuff. Walk by a laundromat, you smell soap, and you smell fish, dirt again. Like it's just one of those crazy sensory kind of walks. Like I mean, if they're ever able to make technology where you can smell what the camera is showing, this would probably be a really popular one. Because it really stinks. And there's also times it smells like nothing. I should have put that in there. It doesn't always smell like one of those things I mentioned, but like right now it smells like, I don't know, paper towels. All right, 49th Street. This is where my uncle lived. So my father's side of the family was well embedded in this area. We lived on 8th Avenue. My uncle lived on this block here, 49th. My grandmother lived on 42nd, right where the main entrance to Sunset Park is. This is St. Agatha right here. You're going to see some back-to-back churches over here. There is another church on the corner here. I've always liked this church because it just looks so, it looks like a church you'd find in the South. It's the Church of the Redeemer, and it's located right here on the corner of 48th and 7th Avenue. Excuse me, I got a little choked up there. Let me center my camera here. There we go. It is hard to see the camera screen. I got the sun on my back and it's shining right down on the screen. So when I pan the camera around, it's very hard to gauge if I'm centered or not. So there's a button, so I'm gonna actually raise the camera up a little bit. There's a button on the camera where you just tap it twice and it'll center your camera. This is Mr. C's Cycles. Alright, we're getting close to the park. Try and not get hit by this. It looks like a hard ball or a sponge ball.
But tell me I don't have style, because I can style you and you'll like
All right, here we go. It gets quiet here until we get over to the park. Any day. Guy's deciding where he wants to go while he's driving. So this is 46th Street. We will hit 45th, and then we will be in the park. Now, PS 169 has been undergoing a renovation, so unfortunately we're not going to really get a good look at it today. I still got one of my photo yearbooks from PS 169. I got one of my photo yearbooks from PS 169 and then PS 131. So you got a nice little church over here. I don't know if it's opened, like as in business. It's got like, looks like it's closed down. It could be wrong, but I mean, it's the impression it gives with those wooden doors. Oh, and there's a church right here. Look at this. I didn't even know. Small little church. Those stained glass windows must look really nice from the inside. All right, we have made it to Sunset Park. And what we will do is we will walk past the park, and then we'll go in on like the 41st Street corner entrance. This right here is what I was telling you. This is PS 169. You can see it's undergoing some renovations. This is the school I went to from grades K through 4. And I remember all my teachers' names. Looks like the main entrance of the park is fenced up. I don't know. We'll see when we get over there what that's all about. All right, looks like we are about 45 minutes into this walk. I always like walking by the nice cut stone barrier walls here at the park. This is the fence. Oh yeah, it looks like the whole. It looks like they're renovating the pool. There's a whole fence around the pool. This is just a fence over here. You could walk up over here. It's just a fence over by the wall here. Man, if there's one neighborhood in Brooklyn that gives me memories when I walk through it, it is Sunset Park. There's no other neighborhood. I mean, I could move away from New York and come back, and Sunset Park would be the only neighborhood that would stir up old memories. So right across the street, looks like they finally did something with the old pizza place on the corner there. This is the block my grandmother lived, and I lived right down the block on 8th Avenue. Give a look at this. I don't know what this is. Rob's of Brooklyn. This is new since at least last year. Oh, it's a pizzeria. It says pizzeria on the side. So it's a pizza place again. Look at that. So this was a pizza place when I was a kid. Very popular pizza place. It wasn't Rob's of Brooklyn. This guy probably just recently opened it up. I'd say in the last year or so. All right, we're gonna get into the park. You know what? I got a better idea. We're going to walk up 41st Street, and then we're going to get into the park down on 5th Avenue. So we're going to walk down to 5th. I wonder if the same people live in that white house. My father used to be friends with a guy that lived in this house many years ago, and I see the American flag and the bunting. I do remember the guy was like a Vietnam vet. It's an interesting thought, maybe. My father, he had a lot of friends that lived in this apartment complex. You can hear some music to the left of me. That is actually the reason why, I'll be honest, I'll be full transparency. That's the reason why I'm staying out of the park. I don't want to get hit with a copyright because they make me angry because YouTube, what they do is they'll keep your video up, but then they'll say that you can't make any ad revenue from it, which is ridiculous. So I'm trying to stay away from that.
I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know what's going on.
So what we'll do is we will walk into the park. Maybe we'll go in 6th Avenue. We could do that. Now, I said earlier, this is one of the highest points in Brooklyn. Greenwood Cemetery is the number 1. Sunset Park is number 2. Number 3 is Owl's Head Park, or what they used to call back in the old days Bliss Park, I believe it was. And then Dyker Heights, where I live, comes in at a very, very close 4th. But I'm going to take you guys to the highest point, to the exact highest point where it I guess gets the highest. I'll show you. We'll go in here. You can see the church out there in between the trees. We'll get a better view when I get out in the clearing, but I used to call that, when I was a kid, I used to call that the Space Shuttle Church, because it looks like the, if you've ever seen a space shuttle, the center solid rocket fuel tank. That's what it looks like. I'll have to tell this story in more detail. This is a really big story, but I'll just say this is where we all witnessed the very famous 1984 UFO. I'm not joking. We saw it right here. That's a video that should be just dedicated to telling that story, but we saw it right here. Flew from here to here really fast. It was a cylindrical. It was like up like this, skipping. A lot of people reported it. It was in the news and everything. We'll go this way. They tried to tell us it was a blimp. They tried to tell us it was a blimp at the Yankee game, but the problem was it wasn't a blimp, and the Yankees were not playing in New York City that night. So, look at the view here of New York City. So we're pretty much on the high point here, but you can see what I'm talking about. There's some view here. I mean, look at this. It's crazy. I mean, if you think about it, we are higher than those 4-story brownstone buildings. Well, brick buildings, the 4-story brick buildings on 5th Avenue there. We're like over the roof. There's the church I was telling you about. Alright guys, I think we're going to end the walk up here on the tallest point. But I want to thank everybody for tagging along as I walked through Sunset Park on 7th Avenue. And well, here we are. This is it right here. This is what they consider the highest point in Brooklyn. I'll give you guys a look. I mean, you could see straight in front of us, you could see all of Jersey City, the whole port of Jersey City out there. And then coming this way, you can see more of Jersey City out there again. So looking back that way, that's where Newark Airport is, right out there. Staten Island you can't see. It's over there. It's just beyond those trees and those buildings. And then out this way, you're looking at the so like the Red Hook area out there. You can actually see the IKEA if you know where to look. I can see it, but there's a big cruise ship, right? If you see that cruise ship, that's center. Right below is the IKEA. And then, of course, you can see the whole city skyline. Let's get you a whole view of the whole city skyline. There's nothing blocking the view. Look at this. From downtown all the way to uptown. So. All right, everyone. I want to thank everybody for coming along on the walk. I'm going to close it out here. I will catch you all on the next one. So take care and bye-bye from Sunset Park.